Hello, and thank you for attending this webinar created by the CWB Group in order to familiarize the listener with the latest of CSA W47.1 Certification of Companies for Fusion Welding of Steel. This presentation has been divided into two parts in order to facilitate later review by the listener. The agenda for this webinar is as follows: an overview of the release history of CSA W47.1, the development process of the latest version of W47.1, value of certification to the welding industry, introduction to Update 7, a summary and review of major changes contained in Update 7, details of the timeline for transition to the new requirements of Update 7, how to acquire a copy of Update 7, and where to direct your questions. The 7th edition of CSA W47.1 Certification of Companies for Fusion Welding of Steel was released in 2009. It supersedes the previous versions published in 2003, 1992, 1983, 1973, 1947, and 1938. The current revision is W47.1-09, reaffirmed 2014, published as Update 7. The latest revision of W47.1, referred to as Update 7, was developed by the technical committee made up of volunteers representing varied viewpoints and interests to achieve consensus and develop the standard. The mandate of the technical committee is to ensure that this standard meets the needs of the users and specifiers, and that the requirements meet national regulatory requirements as well as meet or exceed similar international and/or competing standards. The latest revisions were made to correct or clarify issues that had been identified in the previous version of the standard and to introduce requirements that ensure it remains relevant on the national and international stage. It should be noted that the Canadian Welding Bureau is the administrator and not the writer of the standard. Certification to W47.1 provides value to many stakeholders in the welding industry as well as public safety. Certification provides a set of guidelines and requirements that must be met by all certified companies, creating a level playing field for these companies. CWB certification also provides third-party oversight, which is quite unique among certification regimes and provides improved quality. Improved quality is also attained through the fabrication requirements, such as the need for independent CWB approval of welding procedures and the qualification of welding engineers, welding supervisors, and welding staff performed by CWB. Within the pages of W47.1 Update 7, the reader will find the delta symbol in the margin of the standard denoting where a revision or additional and/or new clause is present. Multiple clauses have been revised and several new clauses and annexes have been added to provide details and informative clarification of the new requirements. Some of the major changes that 47.1 Update 7 brings forward are as listed here. The standard is now specific regarding where audits take place. The standard now requires that companies have a system for handling incoming complaints. The standard now contains changes to welding engineer requirements and provides specific examples of the type of experience required. The use of sidebands for flux cord arc welding, metal cord arc welding, and submerged arc welding has been discontinued. The company now specifically includes the need for a certified company to meet weld quality requirements. The standard now includes the need for a review of welding-related requirements as well as technical review prior to commencing a project. The standard also includes specific requirements for equipment, inspection and testing, non-conformances and corrective actions, identification and traceability, and quality records. We'll explore and elaborate on these changes during this presentation. Location of audit. Clause 4.5 applies to companies that are currently certified. The clause has been updated to include the need for CWB to perform its verifications, also known as audits, at the locations where welding is being performed by the company. Clause 4.5 states, certification shall continue in effect, subject to periodic verification by the Bureau that the requirements of the standard are being met. Such verifications shall take place at the locations where welding is being performed by the company. Clause 5.3.3 applies to companies that are applicants and are wishing to become certified. Clause 5.3.3 states, prior to certifying the company, the Bureau representative shall complete audits at the locations where the company performs the welding to verify that it meets the applicable requirements of this standard. Conducting audits at job sites will ensure all aspects of certification are verified, specifically workmanship, which provides value to the audits, and other value-added services to the certified companies, including opportunities for improvement. Certification audits conducted at locations where welding is being performed will verify the company has the capability to provide services intended by the standard. This location can be the certified fabrication shop or a field site where welding is performed on behalf of the certified location. Meeting this requirement will require some planning between the company representative and the Bureau representative. It should be noted that due to the dynamic nature of the welding industry, it is not necessarily required that actual welding be taking place at the time of the audit, but simply that the location is a job site conducive to providing the CWB representative and the company a means to demonstrate and verify that the company possesses the capability to meet the requirement of the standard. Complaint system. Update 7 now includes the requirement for a company to maintain records of any incoming complaints made to the company relating to its compliance with certification. These complaints are typically from an external source such as a client or an inspector representing the client and can vary greatly but relate to the certification requirements. Furthermore, the company is required to take appropriate action in regards to the complaints and document the action taken. This is generally good business practice and allows the company to maintain traceability that any complaints were addressed, as well as track trends in order to improve processes. Clause 5.1.7 states, certified companies shall keep a record of all complaints made known to it relating to compliance with certification requirements. Certified companies shall take appropriate action with respect to such complaints and shall document the actions taken. Welding engineer. Clause 6.4 now includes an additional option for a welding engineer to demonstrate knowledge of the subjects related to the welding of steel. This additional option is addressed as follows. A certification or qualification granted by other recognized organizations. This includes the International Welding Engineer Diploma issued by the International Institute of Welding. Furthermore, the standard now provides specific examples of what is considered to be welding-related experience. Here are the provided examples: welding inspection, welding supervision, weld testing, weld designing or detailing, welding instruction, fabrication planning, manual, semi-automatic, mechanized, or automatic welding, and welding procedure development and testing. Update 7 does not contain provisions for the qualification of welders using side bends. All welder or operator test assemblies for flux cord arc welding, metal cord arc welding, and submerged arc welding are to be radiographed. If the welder or operator is utilizing a flux cord or metal cord electrode with a diameter of 1.6 millimeters or less, the test assembly shown in Figure 8 may be used, and therefore root and face bends can be performed. Weld quality requirements. Clause 5.1.6 states, the certified company shall demonstrate to the satisfaction of the Bureau that it meets the weld quality requirements specified in the applicable standards and specifications. The applicable standard is the standard that the company is working to, as defined by the product or design standard and/or their client and/or their internal specifications. This would typically be CSA W49, but could be other standards. This requirement serves as value-added service where auditors will report on how a company is performing in regards to meeting weld quality requirements. This is a great chance to provide opportunities for improvement. This concludes Part 1 of our webinar. Please continue with Part 2 as we'll continue our summary and review of the major changes contained in CSA W47.1 Update 7. Thank you for listening.